Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, November the 6th, year 2013. I am your host, Shawn King. We are broadcasting from beautiful downtown, not downtown, out in the outskirts of the boonies of Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, joined here by my lovely and talented co-host, the SIG, Alessandra. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
You have two pieces of big news to share with the audience. First of all, for the first time ever, the CIG is in the IRC chat room. Yay!
Yes.
She's terrified. Be nice to her. Don't say mean things to her. Everyone just say hi and then leave her alone.
Okay.
Because you don't really want to talk to people, do you? Why not? They're nice people. They can't fight you virtually.
I know. That's why I found the courage to go, but I'm just starting too many input all at the same time, so I need to get used to this.
Yes, it is something to get used to, but the only way to get used to it is by actually doing it.
Yeah,
so
that's why I'm trying.
And your other big news, congratulations, you are now officially a permanent resident of this great country.
Oh, yeah, this is awesome.
This is a big deal for you.
Yeah, I've been waiting for 6 years. And actually, I received the permanent resident status in May, but I was still waiting for the official card.
Mm-hmm.
So I
What's
just
the official card?
It's a very important paper that shows, and I can use it everywhere I go, back and forth, in and out Canada, to prove that I am allowed to stay forever here in this wonderful place.
This is funny. This is really interesting to me, if only because of, when you're a citizen of a country, you don't realize what people who want to become citizens of your country have to go through.
Yeah.
You said it's a 6-year process.
6 years. It has been a long process, and so many issues and hiccups and back and forth and more papers to add and many nights thinking about the problem, and I was not sure I could make it, so it was
it's very stressful
hard.
Too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, very hard.
At any point up until you actually get the paperwork, they could ask you to leave the country, couldn't they?
Oh, yeah, if they don't approve the process, I have to leave immediately, Yeah,
I didn't realize that. I thought, because I don't need to be a citizen of Canada, I am, so you don't realize.
You're so lucky.
You don't realize what the process is, and you don't realize how hard immigrants work to become part of the United States or Canada or Britain or any other country that you want to name. And we take it for granted. As citizens of the country, we just take it all for granted. But it's great to see how excited you are to become a permanent. Now, permanent resident doesn't mean citizenship.
No, not yet. I will apply for that.
Will you?
In the future, but at least now I'm allowed to stay and work, and I can just renew this card and stay forever, which is what I really wanted to.
Well, good. I'm glad that you're able to work, because I'm tired of carrying your butt. I'm tired of picking up. You got to start pulling your weight. You got to go find a job now. You got to just start working for the money, honey.
I'm trying. It's so hard to find a job here. I'm doing my best.
I know, I'm teasing you, but it is a congratulations. It's a big deal.
Thank you.
How much longer will it be before you can be a citizen of Canada?
I think in a few years I can apply for it.
Really? So you can't apply right away?
Yeah. No, not immediately.
No.
I have to wait for I have to be permanent resident for a certain period of time and stay here, not leave. Stay here most of the time. Yeah. Because otherwise I will lose my permanent resident status. But as soon as I can, I will apply, and I have to study because they will ask hard questions, and
absolutely.
So it will be a hard test, but I will be ready.
MacMan, and clear this up for us, MacMan says, oh, cool, so she got her Canadian green card, for lack of better terms. That's not true, because you were able to work before.
Yeah, I had a work permit, so I could work anyway.
That's the equivalent of a green card.
Yeah, it's similar. So I needed the work permit. Now I don't need a work permit. I can work anywhere in Canada.
And the difference was that under the work permit, they could still ask you to leave whenever they wanted to.
Oh yeah, anytime. And now they cannot. Okay. I'm allowed to stay. No. Yeah.
As long as you stay within the parameters of you have to be in the country. You have to be in the country 8 months out of the year?
Yeah, there is I don't know if it's 50% of the time or 70% of the time, but most of the time I have to stay, and then as long as I don't do anything bad against the law, I'm allowed to stay.
Oh, really?
And I'm not doing anything bad.
No, hang on. I didn't realize that permanent residency doesn't mean.
Well, if you do something bad, they can stop you from staying. Because they approve me, just because they check every detail of my life, and they decide that I'm good enough to be Canadian in the future.
But what I'm saying is that once you become citizen, if you then broke the law, they couldn't ask you to leave. They couldn't send you back to Italy.
Yeah, it's different. Citizen, you are
so
definitely
there's
Canadian.
still a situation where they could still ask you to leave.
Yeah.
Or make you leave.
So I have to be careful.
You will. You won't do anything that bad.
No, because I'm nice.
Exactly. The other thing, it's been tradition for me, and we're carrying on the tradition, that before the show, I go to Tim Hortons and get some donuts, some of my old-fashioned plain donuts.
Yes.
And the Sig and Little Sig have tagged along and made me buy them donuts. So you get your double chocolate.
Oh, yes.
And the Little Sig gets her Boston cream, and I get my old-fashioned. So as we're walking to the Tim Hortons, it's a 10-minute walk away from here, we hear from the Little Sig, Alessandra's daughter, that they have an assembly in school tomorrow in honor of Remembrance Day. And first of all, let's back up a little bit further. We went to Tom Lee Music yesterday, and Tom Lee Music had a sign outside the door. For those folks who don't know what we're talking about, Monday is Remembrance Day in the British Commonwealth. I believe it's called Veterans Day in the U.S. Much more serious occasion here in the British Commonwealth than it isn't in the U.S. Remembrance Day is a big deal here in Canada. So the Tom Lee record store had a sign that said, "In honor of Remembrance Day, we will be open on Monday." I'm sorry, what? How does you being open honor Remembrance Day?
Yeah, so they are not celebrating in honor of the Memorial Day.
And it just threw me off. So anyway, so we're walking with a Little Sig, and she says that tomorrow, not Friday, because they have Friday off, tomorrow they have a school-wide assembly where they all have to wear, what is it, a white shirt?
And black pants.
And black pants. So they have to get dressed up in a school uniform for no apparent reason. And they're all going to go to the assembly, and they're all going to sing in a solemn manner. They've been told they're going to sing in a solemn manner. All right, okay. I don't get the idea why you're making kids sing, but the idea that they're going to sing in a solemn manner makes sense, except for the fact that the song they're going to sing is...
What a wonderful world.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're going to get a bunch of school children together, and in honor
of Memorial Day,
of the losses of millions and millions of people around the world in awful, terrible wars, have those same children sing "What a Wonderful World."
Yeah.
That's insanity.
What is wonderful in that is war. Oh my God.
That's just utterly unbelievable.
I don't know who had that idea, but they are doing it.
I don't remember as a kid if we ever had any sort of school-wide assembly for Remembrance Day. But the idea of a bunch of kids singing solemnly, that's the other thing that kills me too.
Yeah.
How the hell do you sing "What a Wonderful World" solemnly?
Yeah, because it's a happy song. You are supposed to smile and be excited, but
what do you do? What a wonderful world. I mean,
yeah.
I don't get it. It's just stupid. Dumb idea. Do Italians have any sort of thing like Remembrance Day? Any sort of
yes, we have a similar thing, and for example, there are places where there are trees that were planted in honor of the soldiers that died in the war, and I have many grandparents and grandparents there, so there is a solemn ceremony there, and not with happy songs at all. They say the name of all the soldiers that died there, so it's a very big, strong celebration.
When I was a kid, because my dad was in the military, he always made sure November 1st he handed to all of us kids the little poppies. We should be wearing our poppies. I'm sorry for not wearing a poppy. Actually, go while I'm talking, get a poppy. I'll put it right here.
I have one.
Dad on November 1st will always give us one of the poppies. In Canada, the Legionnaires, the guys who hand out or sell, not sell, but take donations for the poppies. I should have done this earlier. Hang on a second. Does this fit in there? Does it stick in there? Hang on. Here's my pop. Oh, yes, that looks lovely.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So my dad would hand those out. We'd wear them every day to school. And then November 11th, which was the actual holiday is the wrong word to use, there was a parade in Halifax. And we would go down to the parade route. And it was a solemn parade. It didn't have clowns and candy and marching bands. But I still remember it as a kid, everywhere from the age of 7 to 11 or 12, watching the old soldiers walk by. And some were being pushed in wheelchairs and canes and that kind of stuff. And us with our little Canadian flags. I don't remember it being a very happy occasion, but it wasn't really sad either. We knew, because my dad had told us, what these old guys were doing, why they were there, and why it was important that we went and did this. And then you'd go in I don't know if it's just in Canada, but in Canada you'd go to what's called the cenotaph, which is the monument to the war dead. And there'd be a ceremony there. And in every area of Canada, they would pick, I don't know if Sly, correct me if we're wrong, or Hiker, you guys in the IRC chat room, there would be one mother, a mother of a soldier, would lay a wreath, and she was called a war mom or something. I can't remember what her name was. And this is done all across Canada. In Ottawa, at the national cenotaph, there will be one of the mothers who have lost son in any war, not just World War I or II or one or two or any of the other wars that we've been involved in. And she would lay a wreath, and then the Governor General would lay a wreath, and in Canada, the Lieutenant General, and then the Mayor, and those kinds of folks. And it was always very solemn. You'd have a piper playing, or you'd have a small band playing the typical taps and the typical, what's the other song that I really loved as a kid? It's a hymn, Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace was another one. And then you'd go home. We often went to Tim Hortons afterwards and had donuts and things like that. But it was never a party, but it was never really sad, except for the fact that you knew why you were there. Even as a kid, you were honoring war dead.
Yeah, so it's never a happy celebration.
Hiker, BC, in Flanders Fields. Mosquito says, in my neighborhood, veterans groups hold parades to raise funds for statues and plaques. And speeches are made by people who vote to cut veterans' benefits. Yeah, it's a wonderful place. Yeah, exactly. Silver Cross Mother. That's Hiker. Thanks very much. That's what they're called in Canada.
Oh, okay.
The Silver Cross Mother.
Okay.
And it's often broadcast on TV. So if the weather was really, really bad, if it was like snowing, sometimes we were kids, we would watch it on TV. But it was always something to commemorate. It was always something to stop and watch. And I was so upset. I remember when I first moved to the States, I was so upset to see the Americans didn't do any of this in any kind of big way. Veterans Day in the U.S. is mostly another day for sales.
Oh, really?
Which I just found awful. The one day, 3 or 4 years ago, I was down in Portland at the time. 3 or 4 years ago, I think Eddie Bauer here in Canada got into a big PR nightmare because they advertised Remembrance Day sales. You don't do that in Canada. There's no such thing as in the States. You see Veterans Day sale, come buy a car, come buy a new fridge on Veterans Day. That doesn't happen in Canada. Nobody uses Remembrance Day as a sales platform. Yeah. No, that's great. I love it. Like I said, I think a few years ago it was Eddie Bauer that got the got into a lot of trouble because of that. Because it's supposed to be a solemn thing.
Oh, yeah.
Memorial Day in the U.S., MacMan says, it's Memorial Day here. Memorial Day in the U.S. has become a party weekend. That's the unofficial first day of summer. I'm okay with that. That's fine. But America also has Remembrance Day. Veterans Day. And at least to make that one a solemn occasion. One that's not advertised. One that commemorates and remembers these people for what they did. They gave their lives for their country. And I'm not saying they gave their lives for America or Canada or anyone else like that. It's just it's a commemoration, and this is something my dad told me. It's a commemoration of all the young men in all the wars on all sides that gave their lives up for their country. Whether the country was right or wrong, You know, Dad, I remember as I got older and I asked Dad about, well, what about German soldiers? What about, you know, the soldiers who were on the wrong side? And Remembrance Day, he said, in my opinion, Remembrance Day remembers soldiers.
Yes.
Those people who gave their lives in the service of their country, whether the country's government was right or wrong, in these sort of organized wars. Because that's what we do. That's the old line about old white men sending young men to die. For any number of reasons. I've always admired people. I just got a message from Jim Dalrymple. What was that all about? Why is Jim in the IRC in the Jim? I got a message from Jim. I don't know. I can't tell.
Oh.
It's one of the problems with some of the notification stuff. I got this notification from Jim Dalrymple. Oh shit! I didn't send the URL for the Google Hangout to Jim Dalrymple.
Oh. Really?
Oopsie! Hang on, Jim. That's why. That's why, John. Here I am talking about this stuff and wondering where Jim is, and it's because I didn't send him the URL.
Yeah, that's why.
The problem is that the Google Hangout URL, same with YouTube URLs, change every single week. Every time we shut it down, shut it up again, it changes the URL.
Every time you have to send it to everybody.
Got to resend it, and I forgot to send it to Jim, so we're going to wait a second.
Yeah.
Monty says, sadly, that's the case with most holidays. The retailers have taken over and destroyed the meaning behind most of them. And he's absolutely right. So it's great that in Canada, we've at least held on to this one holiday that truly is for honoring what it's supposed to be about.
It's very important.
And I'm glad to see that it hasn't, in my years away, that it hasn't yet been taken over by advertising and by people wanting to sell me something. And let's just take the time out and think. And I will always at 11:11 a.m. On November 11th. Just stop for a moment and remember my dad, remember my grandfather, my uncles, all the folks who I know who served in the military.
Yeah, I have a long list too. And it was always a big deal for my family too. So every year, especially now that I'm far away from them, I think a lot about them.
Absolutely.
That moment.
Jim Dalrymple has joined the chat room. Let me get Jim on. Jim. Okay. I'm clicking the button. Oh, it says Jim. I see his face. He doesn't want to come up on video. Okay, there's Alessandra in video.
Yeah, I'm here.
Wait, Jim. Hang on. Show in broadcast. Oh, there's Jim. And hang on. And that was me.
All right.
There we go. There's Jim. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. You don't sound good. You sound kind of down and depressed and bored.
Well, okay.
Oh, it's because your Bruins. It's because your Bruins lost last night.
Bruins. Man, oh man, the Bruins suck.
Yeah. I couldn't be happier.
At least we won the cup.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that was last year. All right, that was last year.
That was actually 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? All right. It was just
whatever.
Too close for
anything that pains you, it makes me happy.
And vice versa, brother. So I thought it was really interesting. This Apple, let's call it proactive, shot across the bow of the government in releasing the information they did, as little information as they were allowed to. What did you think of it? Do you think this was something? This is Apple's trying to get ahead of this issue, that Apple thinks that this is going to blow up in their face at some point, so they're kind of covering their asses?
Well, what's going to happen if they do request some information? Let's say, they come and say, we want everything you have on Shawn King.
Yeah.
And then they put a gag order on it, which is supposedly what they do, right? Yeah. What will Apple do then? Will they say, like at the bottom, they said that we've received no requests?
Yeah.
Right? So are they going to say we've received one request, but we're not allowed to tell you who it was?
Well, they're not allowed to say that. They can only say they can only give out request numbers in increments of 1,000. That's why in the report you saw so many of the numbers were 0 to 1,000 requests. It could have been 999, but Apple can't say that. The government will only let them say 0 to 1,000 requests.
Wow.
It's really interesting that that this document came out, and to me, because there was nothing, it wasn't like it was a reaction to something that happened the day before. It wasn't like it was a reaction to something. So this was a concerted effort. Apple's obviously worked on this for a long time. Those are a lot of numbers to get from lawyers from a lot of different jurisdictions. That Apple's been working on this probably for at least a month, and they're releasing it for a reason right now. Apple does nothing randomly. Something's going to happen next week that lets us point back to this document and go, aha, here's why Apple did that.
I don't know. I mean, maybe Apple's just being transparent. I mean, they've been transparent with everything, you know, in the environment and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So why not this?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But I just get this feeling, and my spider sense is tingling, making me think that Apple's doing this for a reason at this moment in time, not just because the document was ready for printing yesterday.
Could be.
Yep. The other interesting thing that Apple did today, and I think this is, again, we've talked about it many times in the last couple of years, another changing of the company from Steve Jobs' company to Tim Cook's company. The announcement today that Apple's showing us what they're going to put back into iWorks over the next 6 months. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, there has been a lot of negative feedback based on some of the features that, you know, were taken out of iWorks.
Yeah.
So, you know, they listed it off bit by bit what's coming back.
But the thing is, this is another... Sorry, what was that?
It's a good thing.
Oh, it's absolutely a good thing. But, and that leads me to my next statement, this is a PR nightmare, as usual, of Apple's own making. If they had come out and said... It is. If they had come out and said, look, we're taking this stuff out of iWork in order to make it match up with the iOS version, but we'll put the stuff... Oh, no! The crotch cam! We're taking this stuff out in order to get it, not feature parity, but get it on the same track as iOS 7, and we'll put the stuff back in. If Tim Cook had said that on the stage when they announced this stuff, there wouldn't be an issue.
I don't think it was a PR nightmare, though. I really do.
Okay, I mean, an embarrassment. How's that?
I don't think it was that either. I think that the people that used iWork in, I guess, in business, used some of the pro features, were upset. But the majority of the users were not upset, I don't think, because they don't use the power feature.
Yeah.
They use it to write with. They want to build a power or a Keynote presentation. I mean, I used Keynote on my iPad and on my Mac at the conference that I was at last week. I didn't notice anything different. It worked perfectly for me on both, and I was able to work on both. And that's what Apple wanted, to be able to work on your iPad or iPhone and work on your Mac, and, you know, have these great files, and that's what I had. So I thought it was great. I thought it was a great update. And
I agree with that from that point of view. But I think Apple handled it. They could have handled it better. But Apple has shown. This is once again, Apple has shown they don't really care about what the power users think and want. This is the Final Cut Proing of iWorks. This is the iMovieing of iWorks.
But what's more important to Apple right now? The overall consumer view of giving away all these apps, or the few pro users that use those features that are gone? I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what's more important to them. And I think clearly it's all of the iPhone users that they want to move over to the Mac, not the Mac users that they hope will use it on the iPhone or iPad.
Do you think this document that they've released today is a precursor of future documents? Do you think we'll see this with things like, I don't know, Final Cut Pro and iMovie? Hey, folks, this is what we're going to have in the next 6 months? Or is it a one-off kind of thing?
I think that this is more of a one-off. I don't think that you're going to see Apple come out and say, oh, yeah, in the next iPhone we're going to have this. You know, they'll never do it with hardware.
Yeah.
I don't even know that they'll do it in software. Certainly not the OSs.
Yeah.
But you know, in the coming years, I don't expect a whole lot with OS 10 anyway. You know, I just expect that to continue to be a bridge to iOS. So, they won't do much there. So they're definitely not going to do it with iOS. Maybe some apps, but you know, I mean, if you think about it, they're not really showcasing their apps anymore, their pro apps or anything else. So their iLife and iWork are apps that they use on stage. You know, so they'll continue to want to show those off, because if they come out and say, yes, in the next version we're going to put in smart instruments, well, what the hell is that? I don't even know what that is. So that's what they like to show you, you know. So they'll continue to do that. I think this is a special case where they realize that they did upset some of the pro users, and okay, here's what we're putting back in.
Interesting that they don't acknowledge that from that point of view. They don't say, "Hey, we're sorry for taking these things out." They just and they don't have to. I think it's very smart of them to not acknowledge those people. They're just saying, "Hey, here's what we're doing."
They don't have to do that. And the fact is, I believe when I saw that this was the plan all along, to put those features back in, because they're not going to all of a sudden scramble and say, oh, well, let's re-architect this thing and so we can get these features in. I think that they did re-architect everything so that the iPhone and Mac versions were very similar, and then, okay, we'll start putting things back in now, the same way that they did with Final Cut. I think that was the plan all along. People just got, you know, all bent out of shape, and they decided to put out this support note. Wasn't a press release, wasn't a press brief, it wasn't. It was a support note.
Yeah, I think that says a lot right there too, where it came from too. Is that it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't a press release. It wasn't an interview with you or someone else. It was just, this is a support document like we put out 100 times a day.
Yep.
His Shadow says in the RC chat room, he's got a great line. I think we all tend to forget that Apple has gathered more users in the last 6 years than it had in its entire history.
Yeah.
And they are all consumers in the generic sense of the word, Shawn.
Yep. And Apple needs to make sure that they look after those people. Before they look after, you know, the guy that's using AppleScript in Pages or something like that. And like I said, maybe it's not right, but it's a business decision, and from that standpoint, it's the right decision.
And like I said, I don't have a problem with the decision. I just wish they had explained it better. If they had said,
to explain it.
I know they don't have to. I understand that.
They gave away all of these apps for free. They don't have to explain it. I mean, if they were charging you $200, you bought it and then said, "Oh my God, what happened to all my good features?" Okay, then you might have a reason to complain. But you know, when you say, "Oh my God, we got these updated apps for free and they're missing features," you know, not so much.
Yeah, that's right. Did you see the because Jim and I are both, Jim more than I am, both insiders in the media, we see this stuff happen sometimes before it happens. Did you see all the press that this little app called Knock got yesterday or earlier today?
Oh yeah, I read about Knock. What
this stuff is a concerted effort by the companies. They'll send out a whole bunch, for those folks who aren't familiar with this stuff. What the companies will do is they'll send out PR, they'll send out press codes that you can get this and try it out ahead of time, and that's why you see all this stuff happen all at once. For example, last week, Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Jim and Walt Mossberg, David Pogue, they all posted their embargoed reviews of the iPad Air. This is something every company does. So obviously this happened with these guys at Knock. And the idea of Knock is a neat idea, but you read the reviews and you realize no one who reviewed this wants to say a bad thing about it.
Why?
Is that a problem in the maybe tech in general, but certainly in the Macintosh community, that we get these things ahead of time and then for whatever reason, because we fear not having that embargo access anymore, people will not say negative things about this stuff? Because Knock is a shitty piece of software.
What does it do? I read something about it, but
basically what it is, it uses the low-energy Bluetooth to allow you to double-tap your iPhone and unlock your Macintosh.
Right.
Now, it sounds cool, and the video, even though the guy's a little bit creepy, the video is kind of cool, except for the fact, two things. They don't show the user walking up to the machine and jiggling the mouse or tapping a key. That's the way you wake your Mac from sleep, and then you type in your password. So they don't show that on their video.
Why would you just do that?
Exactly, exactly. And my point is, if you're already that close to your Mac, type the frickin' password in, you lazy bastard.
So I walk up to my Mac.
Yes.
I sit down. I take my phone out of my pocket. I double tap.
You don't have to take it out of your pocket. You can double tap it when it's in your pocket, as long as the app is still running. Yeah, it's that stupid. But it's worse, Jim. It gets worse, and none of the reviewers want to point this stuff out. The other aspect of it is your phone doesn't have to be unlocked. So what that means is I can unlock your Macintosh with your phone without you being in the room.
So the app has to be active? Does that mean it has to be the forefront app? Or
no, it can run in the background.
Run in the background, okay. Okay.
But it's one of those gimmicks that the Mac web jizzes itself over for no good reason. There's absolutely no good reason for this app. It's a kind of a cool, geeky thing to do, to be able to tap your phone and have your Mac magically do its own password thing. But if I have to actually still walk over to the Mac to physically turn it from the black screen to the password screen, then it's a waste of frickin' time.
I'm confused.
I know. What I'm confused about is why these guys can't be honest about this stuff. Why they have to either obfuscate. Go ahead.
Maybe that's why I wasn't asked to review it.
Maybe that's me too. Because that's what I said on Sulia. This was a gimmick, but it's a stupid idea. It's poor security. Because all it means is I can steal your phone. Don't get to unlock your phone, but I can unlock your Macintosh. So if I've stolen your briefcase with your phone in it, I've got both your phone and your Mac, and I can unlock both of them. Bad idea.
So it's an app for criminals then?
It could be an app for criminals. And you know what? Criminals deserve apps too. They're people too. There's no reason for them not to be able to get the good stuff.
Do you want to see my favorite cup?
Oh, I'm afraid for this. Is it a C cup? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's a tartan cup. What the hell is that?
That's a cup. It's my coffee cup. It's my favorite coffee cup.
Why is it your favorite? They
bought it for me like 25 years ago, and I still have it. And I have the best cup of coffee every day. When she brings me a cup of coffee in the morning, and it's not in that cup, I know it's going to be a shitty cup of coffee. But when she brings me that in, it's like the world just lifts up and rays of sunshine come through.
Well, but doesn't that mean that she knows that by now, and that she would give you a coffee in another cup because she's mad at you?
Well, clearly when she's pissed off, she brings me coffee in another cup.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah. That's how I know when she's pissed off. When this cup is clean and she still doesn't use it, okay. Time to sit down. What's the problem?
The folks at Nike have come up with their new Nike Plus Move app. It's a free app. You can download it off the App Store. Have you downloaded this thing?
No.
No, neither have I. Actually, I lie. I have. But as I said on the Loop Insight forums, I hate these apps because they show me what kind of lump I really am.
Yeah. You've moved 3 feet today.
That's right. Yeah, you have the app waking you up and going, "Are you dead? You haven't moved in 3 days.
Yeah.
Should we call 911 for you?"
Yeah, I was going to say, all of a sudden, I download that app and put it in my phone, all of a sudden the paramedics are at my door. Yeah,
that's right. I really don't like these apps. I've tried most of them, and they all show me the same thing. I don't frickin' move for days on end.
I watched a show last night with Monique. I think it was The Good Wife.
Yeah.
And there was one of the lawyers there had this thing on her phone that beeped at her when she sat too long or she hadn't been active enough, and she got up and started walking around the room. I thought, I would take a hammer to my phone.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Beep beep beep. You haven't moved enough.
There's all these apps that will tell you to get up and move it for 5 minutes every hour. No, I'm too freaking busy. All right, I've got better things to do.
Or if I'm not busy, I'm lazy. So
that's right. If I'm not busy, I don't want to get up. all this porn is going to download itself, Come on.
And that's not going to make me any healthier because if I get up, I'm going to have a smoke. So.
That's right, exactly. He's absolutely.
I'm in a no-win situation now.
The other interesting, I meant to mention this off the top, interesting Apple letter was Tim Cook's Wall Street Journal op-ed this past Sunday. And unfortunately, because of any number of rumors, we're not going to get into them here, it takes on more of a meaning than what it actually should. But what do you think about the CEO of Apple writing these kinds of letters to the Wall Street Journal?
I think equality overall is something that we all should strive for, except for like you and I, because we'll always be on the bottom.
Exactly.
But equality is something that we should strive for, and if Tim Cook can, through his position, be in a place where he can write something like that and urge the government to do something, then why not?
Yeah.
I have no issue with it, whether it's his personal thought or whether it's Apple, and we know that Apple hires all kinds of different types of people and race and religion and everything else. You go to the Apple campus and there's all kinds of different people there. It's even people with beards there. But
there shouldn't be, but
well, so yeah, I think it's great. More power to them.
One of the things that I always think about when these kinds of things happen was when a company, especially American, let's say when a major American company makes a stand one way or the other politically, they're taking a big risk because you're going to piss off, let's say, no matter which side of the spectrum you're on, you're going to piss off between 20 and 35% of your potential customer base who are going to say, because you believe that, we are not going to buy your product anymore. Yeah. And Apple's taking that risk. Apple's making a concerted taking a stand and saying, yeah, we know we're going to get X number of people who are going to write to us, who are going to go into the Genius Bar and throw back their MacBooks because we've taken a stand, again, one way or the other. So it's interesting that Apple does that.
This is something that Apple has practiced for many years. I mean, this isn't a new Tim Cook thing. I mean, Steve practiced this too, obviously. He wanted the best people. I believe Tim still wants the best people, regardless of, what color their skin is or what God they believe in. That doesn't matter at work. If it's so intelligent that you can build, iOS, then okay, we want you, except, if it's Scott, then we don't want you. But I guess that was a bad example, wasn't it? No, Apple's practiced this for a lot of years, so it's not coming out of the blue. Apple customers should know this. If they don't, then it's a big surprise.
Well, should we equate a company's politics with their products? Should we divorce ourselves from that discussion that if a Mac is the best machine for me, should I care whether the company who makes it, the CEO, is right wing, left wing, chicken wing? Should we care?
GoDaddy's still in business.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Although, having said that, I know when GoDaddy got in their stink last year or 2 years ago because their idiot CEO was shooting elephants, we all jumped down their throats. So, yeah, we do make decisions based on our perceptions of the companies involved.
Of course, but, having said that, I moved all but one of my domains away from GoDaddy.
Yeah.
All of my domains right now are at Hover, and the only one that I have left at GoDaddy is Loop Insight. And that's because I'm too afraid to move it and screw it up.
Break things, that's right.
Seriously.
Be down for a month.
That's the only reason it's still there. And Hover offers a service where they'll do it for you.
Yeah.
So I may have them do that, and I guess what they do is set it up on their end first and then transfer everything and make sure it's all good. And, I have outside DNS on mine, which is really important for this, I guess. So, I guess it could be easily moved, but I'm just scared to death.
And finally, let's talk about a story that broke last week but will not actually have any importance for, I'm going to say, 5 years. Rockstar, a patent-holding firm partially owned by Apple and Microsoft, is suing Google and Android handset makers. This, to me, is a fascinating story.
Wow. And they're going right after Google's search revenue.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't have it in front of me, but maybe you do there. Read what the patent says, what it's for.
I'll find it. But this is not a shot across Google's bow. This is a shot into the bridge.
Oh, it's right at the heart.
Yeah, they're trying to take them out.
If you read the what the patent is actually all about, it talks about putting up basically directed ads based on your content or your the way that you surf or something like that. And it's just fascinating because, like you said, that's not a shot across the bow. Let me see here. I know that we were smart enough to put it in there. Oh yeah, the patent is entitled Associative Search Engine. And yeah, Google has infringed on it on all kinds of their different stuff. But yeah, Associative Search Engine, really?
But this comes back to, and I'm sure that you and I talked about this when it happened in 2011, when Microsoft and Apple.
Here it is.
Go ahead.
Let me go back here. Jesus, the lawyers, man, oh man, it's so long.
Yeah.
Methods, products, and processes for matching search terms with relevant advertising and/or information based on those search terms and other user data, including but not limited to Google's process of receiving search requests from a user, using its search engine to generate search results based at least in part on the search request selecting through Google AdWords and or any other products, methods, systems, or services Google uses to store and choose relevant advertising. Holy crap. I mean, that basically there's Google's whole business.
In 2011, when this happened, I know you and I talked about it when Apple and Microsoft joined together to buy the Nortel patents. We all said, everyone said, this was going to come back and bite Google because Google underbid for it. Google should have paid whatever they needed to get these. And Apple and Microsoft would have paid whatever they needed to get these because they all saw that's where this was going to end up.
Yep.
That being the case, there is no judge in the world, no matter how strong these patents are, that's going to say, all right, Google, shut it down. What's the end game for Apple and Microsoft? To get revenue from Google?
Well, no, they'll have to, whatever, if the patent is as strong as what it seems, and there's no way for me to tell because I'm too stupid to
I'm with you.
But it seems pretty strong to me, the patent.
Yeah.
What Google will have to do is license the technology to continue in business. And they'll have to have a fair license.
Yep.
So Rockstar will have to give them a fair price for it. That's the way license works. You can't charge one guy 10 cents and another guy 50 cents.
Yep.
It has to be a fair license. So
but it will not be an insignificant amount of money.
It will not be an insignificant amount of money. Now, then comes the part of damages. How much can they go after them for using this for the last 15 years? And I don't know. Maybe they put a limit on it, or you can only charge them, $10 gazillion billion dollars.
I love some of the comments from the Technorati. One guy says Apple and Microsoft should be ashamed of themselves for underwriting such blatant patent troll warfare. Bullshit. Because Google would have done the exact same thing.
Google did. They bought Motorola.
Through Motorola. That's right. Yep.
And they kept lawsuits going. I mean, Gruber had an article the other day that, pointed that out, that Google is not the victim.
They're just the guys who didn't pony up enough money in 2011 to get the Motorola
and they should have.
Nortel patents.
If they had ponied up the right amount of money, they could have said, they should have just went, look, we have a blank check. How much do you want? 10 billion? Okay, fine. Because
then again, they'd be going up against Apple and Microsoft, who also have blank checks too. That check would have had a lot of zeros on it, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
it would be very interesting. But yeah, this is not going to be over. This is one of those lawsuits that will drag to the court for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
And the end result is definitely going to be a hefty licensing fee from Google to Rockstar. It's not. I don't think it's going to change anything about Google. They may have to put a little copyright notice in the bottom saying wholly owned by Apple. But otherwise, I think this is going to end up being a lot of money.
Subsidiary of Apple.
That's right, exactly.
Google and FileMaker.
Hey, did you and Dan Benjamin do an Amplified today? I didn't see your Twitter feed notice about it.
No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, all right, folks. So you can check out Amplified. He does it live, around 11 o'clock Pacific time on Thursday.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Whatever. We're going to follow Jim on Twitter to find out when he's going to do it, and it'll get posted up sometime on the iTunes store. Do a search for Amplified, and it comes up with Jim's podcast. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
See you, Shawn.
All right, get off my feed now. Goodbye. Monty was saying that the video is switching all by itself. Remember you and I were saying this before?
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out why, but it turns out maybe it's based on audio. But when you talk...
Yes. So now
the video doesn't switch. I just switched it on my own. I didn't get a chance to mention that before we get folks. We're going to talk to Alessandra about the Doxie flip scanner and also her discoveries about Dropbox. But this is something I wanted to. This is one of those things I like saying is a meta topic. I didn't put it in there in the information. I just wanted to keep this just between us. And as always, send us an email on air at yourmaclifeshow.com with your thoughts and anything that we talk about on the show. And if it's relevant, we will read the emails during the show. Ender's Game. Remember, you and I talked about this last week. And I asked, we were sitting here, and I asked Alessandra, I said, do you know about Ender's Game? Did you read the books?
I didn't read the book, but I read about the movie they just produced.
I remember reading the books. The book came out. Ender's Game came out in '85, and I read it, loved it, enjoyed the book immensely. It wasn't until about a year ago I found out that apparently Orson Scott Card, the author of the book, has lost his freaking mind in any number of ways. If it weren't this issue, it'd be another issue. But Orson Scott has become a severe right-wing homophobe.
No.
Now, he may have been in '85 when he wrote the book, but reading the book, you get no sense of that. The path the book has traveled to become a movie is an interesting one. It's taken all this time to turn it into a movie. Now, the question I had for Alessandra is, would you allow the little Sig, who's 12 years old, to go see or read the movie or book, knowing what you now know about Orson Scott Card? This goes back to what we were saying before about if Tim Cook, Apple's CEO, says the company supports whatever line of reasoning, does that affect your purchase of a Macintosh? Does Orson Scott Card being a batshit crazy right-wing homophobe affect whether or not you would read the book or go see the movie, and or let the little Sig read the book or go see the movie?
Well, we are still thinking about it, discussing it, because it's hard to decide. The book was written a long time ago, so he was probably still not thinking like he is now. But there might be some messages in the book that are not that open and that still are. No,
from what I've been reading about it, no. Actually, the book is the opposite. It's very inclusive. It does talk about human beings in a good way. As Sherry says in the IRC chat room, apparently he's not getting any money for the movie for some reason. No, he's not, but he's getting a buttload of money from people going out and buying the book, either before seeing the movie or having heard about the movie and wanting to read the book. So he's making money off of all this stuff.
So buying the book is still supporting him, and it's not
that's the question. That's a good question. Is buying the book supporting him? Yeah, he gets the money.
If he's making money out of it, it's not good to help him, because if I don't like the way he's thinking or the way he's acting, I don't want to support him in any way. But it's a hard decision, because as you were saying, it's a good book, and so it's probably a good movie, and it's not good to give up on that just because of some things he's thinking now. I still don't know. I'm still thinking.
Mosquito says in the IRC chat room, what if you love Wagner's Ring Cycle, but can't stand how anti-Semitic he was? You can love the art without supporting the artist.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a little bit different, if only because Wagner had been dead a long time. And so he's not making any money off of it directly. If I bought the London Symphony Orchestra's version of the Ring Cycle, Wagner's not getting a dime of that.
Yeah.
The London Symphony Orchestra is. Same with the other discussion you and I were having was what about if we equate the author with the book, and therefore if we don't like the author's beliefs, we shouldn't read the book. What about Mein Kampf? Hitler's book.
Yeah, but
I read that in college.
Yeah, but then again, he's dead, so his life is not changing if we read or not his thing, and we want to read about it, so we don't want those things to happen again. So it's important that we know well the crazy ideas he had, so we don't want to to follow them. Absolutely.
Sherry also points out Eric Gill was adulterous and incestuous, and there was something involving his dog. But Gil Sands is still the typeface of England. He was a typographer.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah,
and
then it's hard.
And then the other question that comes up is how far down this rabbit hole do we go? If we won't see a movie based on who wrote it, would we not go to a movie based on who directed it?
Yeah, and we should check every time we want to read a book or watch a movie, we should check the story of...
But how far?
Yeah, because...
What if the movie had a director of photography?
Maybe just one of the characters, one of the actors, and...
What if the caterer was anti-Semitic? You know, I mean...
Yes.
How far down this do you go? I don't want to say blinders, but how much do we ignore in order to look at what can be described as art? It's a tough decision.
Yeah, it's hard to decide, yeah.
It's a harder decision for you as a parent.
Yeah, especially having kids. We want to set a rule that we will follow for the future, and then it's hard. I mean, most important are the ideas, so if we know that the movie is not promoting bad ideas, that should be good enough, but there's still what the writer is thinking now.
His shadow says, yeah, Card is still alive and will use his resources in his campaign of hate. But Mosquito also says art can be difficult. It should be. Artists can be more so. Yeah, but there's a difference between being difficult.
Yeah.
Andy Warhol was difficult. Banksy is difficult. Pablo Picasso is difficult. But what if the artist fundamentally offends you in any number of ways? That the things he believes and espouses and talks about and has websites about and writes articles about, what if that is the offense? Not the art itself. I've seen lots of offensive art. I don't think that the artist himself is offensive. This way, it's the other way around. The art isn't offensive. The artist is. Yeah. In a very fundamental, to me anyway, in a fundamental moral kind of way.
Yeah, he's very open about the ideas, and he's also promoting them. Yeah. So it's not.
And the movie theaters, because they want to make money, have been very careful to make sure that everyone who talks about the movie, they've got their talking points. They know what they're supposed to say. They know how they're supposed to say it to distance themselves from Card. Card has done no interviews about the movie. He's not talked about the movie. The movie theaters have kept him far, far away from it and don't want him any part of this because they don't want this to blow up in the phrase. That doesn't excuse what Card says and does.
Yeah.
But if the movie if the movie company, the producers, are doing this, if you want to be nice, you can say they're doing it out of a sense of dignity for the movie and ignoring his craziness. They're also doing it so they can make more money.
Yeah, so they are sure people go to the movie. So
I still don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, we haven't decided yet.
Honestly don't know. Yeah. I remember, it's been a long time, 20 years since I read the book, and I remember enjoying the book. I think I read it in high school or college or something like that. I remember liking the book and thinking it was a good book. It was a hard book. It brought up some very interesting questions, which is what art again should be doing, especially good science fiction, in my opinion, bringing up hard questions and making you think about the future and the present. But at no point in the book is there anything like what Orson Scott Card is now. Very interesting. I've read 2 articles from former, not friends, but former students, mentees of Card. One of them was a teenage Muslim, and another was or is gay. And reading their story about how they got through their feelings about Card was very, very interesting, because they both came to Card when they were 13 years old. And both of them, around 15, were having difficulties being gay, difficulties being Muslim. This guy was Muslim in Kansas. It can't be a much harder place to be Muslim than Kansas. And how Card got both of them through Ender's Game, got them through their teenage years. Because the book showed that it was okay to be different. It was okay to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
It was okay to be a stranger. And both of these people wrote to Card saying thank you, and he communicated back to them.
Oh. And
mentored them, taught them. The gay female said they had an ongoing correspondence over years about how to write, she wanted to become a writer, how to become a better writer, how to develop characters, and all this kind of stuff. Nothing. Now, I don't think she says in her article that she announced to Card that she was gay or anything, but she got no sense from Card of the homophobe that was going on now. Same with the Muslim, saying he got no sense of the xenophobia of, even though he had told Card, I'm a Muslim, and your book was the first time I'd ever seen a positive portrayal of a Muslim in mainstream media, in a book or a movie or things like that. So it's very, very interesting. I think that's part of the difficulty of all this, too, is that the person who wrote this book isn't the same person.
Yeah, so he changed completely, and so,
people curious, Mosquito, great line, simple, Roman Polanski. Another guy who is, by all accounts, I don't want to say an awful human being. He committed a crime, an awful crime. Yeah. He's never come back to the United States to pay for his crime. But there's no disagreement with the fact that he's a brilliant movie director. I still go see his movies, even though I know what crime he did, even though I know it was a horrendous crime. Rosemary's Baby is one of my favorite horror movies. It was great. Scared the crap out of me when I was 10. Mosquito said people curious about Card's book can go to a library and borrow without putting cash in his pocket. Likewise for the movie once it's released on DVD.
Yeah, good idea.
But the movie, he's not making any money from the movie now. If we go to the movie theater and watch the movie, Orson Scott Card is not getting a dime of that money. He's already been paid for the rights to the movie. That's already so none of the money that we give the movie theater is going to go back to Card. I don't know if that's an issue. That's not an issue for me, whether he gets 35 cents out of my movie ticket.
It's just the symbol of what you do. If you send money to him, you don't want.
Mosquito says there are ways to experience the art so we can assess whether it's worthwhile without supporting causes we don't like. Monty says Dan Cathy also has, though not as venomously as Card, had impolite things to say about those of us who are gay. I don't agree with Dan. I know him personally, so I feel like I use his first name. But I still occasionally eat at Chick-fil-A. He's the CEO of Chick-fil-A who said idiotic things last year, but he doesn't want gay people eating his chicken. That's just stupid. You had it in Italy. The CEO of what was
Pasta Barilla.
Pasta Barilla.
Yeah. And Pasta Barilla is the symbol of Italy. It's the most popular pasta. We always said Pasta Barilla at home on the table, and then he said things against gay people again, and so I think it was such a stupid step to do, and he's losing so much business. I'm not eating that pasta anymore.
I don't know. And part of the problem is, too, is my personal belief of you can think whatever you want.
Yeah, but don't say it because you know you are so popular, people look at you, and if you say a thing like that, it's so heavy. Yeah. So you have to be careful. I really don't know why he did that.
You know, with the Chick-fil-A guy, I have no problem with him thinking those thoughts about gays. You can think whatever thoughts you want.
Yeah, but he should keep it to himself.
But I won't eat a Chick-fil-A because he's stupid. That's the reason why. It's not because he thinks dumb things about gays. It's because he's so stupid as to say those things out loud. Keep that stuff to yourself. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I respect your right to believe whatever you want, no matter how heinous it is. But keep it to yourself. especially when you're in a public position, like the CEO of Chick-fil-A or like an author, things like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to get that little rant out. Something Alessandra and I have been talking about for a while. Let's talk about the Doxie Flip. Those folks who followed the show for a while know that we've talked about the Doxie products many times on the show. They make a whole series of different scanners in various sizes. These are the guys, I don't want to say it and make it sound like it's bigger than it is, but who are saving scanning. I mean, how many of us have a scanner anymore? Very few. I remember back in the days when I worked in an office, there was a great big huge Epson scanner next to my desk, and that was the spot where people came over to do any number of scans. It was a typical giant stupid SCSI scanner, SCSI in all senses of the word. But I haven't needed or wanted a scanner in probably 10 years. But the guys at Doxie are trying to bring scanning back, and they've done a really good job on some of their other models of scanners. Let me just go to their website real quick and pull up. It wasn't there. Where did I have it? I had it over here. Was it this web page? That's not the right web page. Let's close that window. One of these pages, I had a whole bunch of. There we go. The Dropbox products. The website, by the way, is GetDoxie, D-O-X-I-E. The Doxie 1, the Doxie Go. I had the Doxie Go plus Wi-Fi bundle. Great little scanners. And so a couple weeks ago, the folks at Doxie sent me an email saying, hey, do you want to be under embargo? And we'll send you one of these new things. I'm not going to tell you what it is. We'll send you one of these things. Don't talk about it until Wednesday. And sure, that'd be fine. That's why you saw all these reviews come out today of all these companies, all these websites, Mac Stories and Engadget and all those guys, because they were all under the same NDA. So they sent the scanner to me. And my first thought was, I want to see how Alessandra reacts to this, how she uses. I know how to use a scanner. She knows how to use a scanner too. By the way, I forgot to mention this a couple weeks ago. I keep teasing you for your lack of desire to be involved in technology.
Yes.
Right? I haven't pointed out, I keep forgetting this. I forgot to point this out to the audience. You're a programmer.
Oh, yeah.
Back in Italy, you were a computer programmer.
Yes, I was. I've been working for more than 10 years as a programmer.
You wrote a book about Internet Explorer.
Yes.
In Italian.
Yes.
But like Internet Explorer 4.
Yes,
you wrote
long time ago. Yeah.
I didn't realize that you were an author.
Yes.
So yeah, she's not like she's dumb or anything. She's not. It's just that you're not enamored of technology.
Yeah, I don't need to have the last product for every object I use.
Mosquito says, that's fantastic. Why haven't we heard about this before, Shawn? I know, I'm sorry. I completely forgot to mention this. Yeah, she's a programmer and a book author. So I wanted to make that clear. So you got the Doxie.
Yes.
Tell me about the Doxie. It's called the Doxie Flip scanner.
Yes. So I have it here. It's a little object, very cute, and it's very easy to use. Yeah. I just
scanning isn't hard though.
Immediately. No. Yeah, but because it's portable, you're supposed to take it with you everywhere. There are batteries inside, so you don't need any cable. You don't need anything. You just take it with you. How
does it scan? Where does it scan if it doesn't use a computer?
You have a memory card in it, so you scan and you save everything there. And I like it because there is a small window, and when you scan, you see the image of what you are scanning, and then you can go back and forth and check all the images you have scanned on your card and see them all. And you can also take the lid off and put it face down, so you can see what you are actually scanning.
How do you see what you're scanning? If you see what you're scanning when you put it face down?
Because there is a screen. It's open, so you just pull the lid and it comes off, and then you put it face down and you can scan anything. I've been scanning all day, so
let me prove this to you. Look at that.
I tried every. Oh, you can scan that too.
You can see me right through the scanner.
Yes.
The scanner's got a transparent back to it.
Yeah.
And that's glass or plastic? That's plastic.
Plastic, I think. So I've been scanning any kind of object, postcards, pictures, and leaves, and Also my permanent resident card, everything I could find that I wanted to save. I scanned the donut I had as a snack, everything. It's very easy to use. And then...
Why did you scan a donut?
To remember on this special day, this special occasion.
Oh, okay.
And then at the end, I put the memory card in my computer.
And it's a regular SD card, so you can use any SD
card. Even on my old Acer computer, it could go. And then I just had to download the app from the website. And then with that app, I could import the pictures from the card and see all the pictures and go and modify them and change the brightness, rotate them and save them in my computer. And also there is an option to save pictures in Dropbox or in Flickr or save them as PDF. So there are many options and everything is so easy to do. And so it was an exciting experience.
So, what are the downsides to this? What's the problem with it? And one of the things I noticed was that the scanning surface is 4 inches by 6 inches, which is a general photographic size.
This size is not very easy because, well, when I used postcards, they were fit in there, but then I had to resize them. When I imported them, I had to resize the corners. And also it was hard to put them straight on the scanner because there is no stop on the side. It's very easy to put the picture a little bit sideways, especially when the lid is off. So I had to resize them all. And it's easy to do it in the app, but then every picture had a border that I had to cut away.
Because in the old school scanners, they all had that little lip or little edge on them.
Yes,
just
so you
jammed it up into the
you
corner.
can push against your picture
A
and
guide.
then yes, but in this one there's nothing. And also because the lid is easily coming off, then if you push the picture, it goes under it. So it's always a bit sideways, and then the picture were never straight. And also the size of the scanning part is not big enough. And for example, they suggest to use it for scanning the notes you can write in these field notes that they suggest to use that are very cute. And I like to write things in little booklets. This is a thing that I really like to do, and would be a good idea also to scan the pages I write. But then the size of the scanner window is not big enough for 2 pages and too big for one. So if I scan one page, then I have all the border around that I have to cut away. And also there is no OCR, so if there are things that are written, they are still saved as pictures.
As JPEGs.
So at this point, I don't know why I should scan them. I could just take a picture with my iPhone. It's faster, it's smaller, and it's more portable.
Is that, you believe that's true of anything you would scan using the Flip, that the iPhone is better?
Well, it was fun to use, and of course more accurate, because if you take a picture of a postcard, you cannot take it perfectly aligned as you could do if you scan the picture. Is not exactly the same. But if the idea is to have something portable that you take with you everywhere to scan things, I think the phone is faster and lighter, and I always have it with me.
As Mosquito says in the RC chat room, a contact scan makes a better image, but not everybody needs that.
Yeah.
Mosquito said, I love having a document scanner that also does OCR, so I can search for stuff later if I need it. Oh, wait, that might not be the right scanner.
Yeah, exactly. But in this case, it's not. You just have a picture that you saved somewhere, and so it's not, you cannot recall it by word, so you need to know exactly what you saved and where you saved it. So
we got an email from Sue. I believe Sue's in Jersey. Yeah, she's in New Jersey. She says, I see that this works with the iFi card. Did you try it? How does it work? No, I didn't use the iFi card, so I don't have an iFi card yet. I've got one on order. But I read one of the reviews that said it does work with the iFi card. It seemed to work work fine with the iFi. For those folks who are unfamiliar, an iFi card is a little wireless hotspot card that will send JPEGs from your camera to your iPad or your iPhone. So there's no reason to believe that it wouldn't work the exact same way, because all the scanner is doing, all any scanner does, is take a picture in any number of formats and puts it on the SD card. So the iFi card would work the same way. Now I asked, the first thing I thought of when I saw this is, why would I use this as opposed to taking a picture? Taking a picture, excuse me, with my iPhone of whatever document it is that I wanted to scan. And I get this, and I asked the folks at iFi this. I asked Paul Scandariato, and folks who've been listening to the show for a while recognize that name. He's a guy I've interviewed several times about Doxie stuff. I said, Paul, the question is why? How wide does Doxie see the flip as a replacement for taking pictures of the same thing with a camera or an iPhone? And Paul says, I can't tell if you're asking me a serious question or not. And I was. You've fallen out of the IRC chat room, by the way. He says, we don't see Doxie Flip as a replacement for a camera because it's not a camera, it's a scanner. The goal of using a scanner is to get an accurate digital copy of paper or a flat object. We think most people will use Doxie Flip for photos, albums, pocket notebooks that are otherwise tough to scan with modern sheet-fed scanners, and small keepsakes, coins, stamps, and the like. If you don't care about having a quality digital copy of your originals and are satisfied with your camera iPhone's results to capture and preserve images of the things you care about, then you should use just that. You already own a camera. Scanning is something inherently different. And Paul makes a perfectly good point. I completely understand his point when he says that. I don't find it convincing, though. I don't find it a compelling argument for scanning the things that he talks about scanning, in particular because Doxie makes, in my opinion, better scanners for scanning photos and scanning pages and that kind of stuff. The Doxie one with Wi-Fi is you go to getdoxie.com and you can see it. It's a long, thin scanner that easily fits into a briefcase. That if you need to go someplace and scan a bunch of documents, it's a sheet-fed scanner. Works. It's got a bigger, because it is a sheet-fed and it's got basically little rollers. You can scan a full page, which you can't do on the Doxie Flip. No. You can do the same. It's the same Doxie software, so you can do the same stapling of documents together that you can do with the Doxie Flip. Runs on batteries. Doesn't need to be connected to a computer. The one version has Wi-Fi, which the Doxie Flip doesn't have. So I think, considering the size of the Doxie Flip, I can't see me taking this, I don't know, to a friend's house or to a business meeting or things like that, because it's at one point too big, and another point not big enough.
Not big enough because you cannot scan big images. So, yeah, I don't see how to use it. It was fun, but it was more like a toy because we had it, we were having fun using it. But if I didn't have it, I wouldn't feel the need to buy it.
Mosquito says that's just it. The iPhone camera is for quick and dirty stuff. It's not clean and rigorous. Well, yeah, but okay, we'll give you that point. That the iPhone doesn't do as good a quality as a 600 DPI scan would on this flip scanner. But, and we'll answer the question of his shadow, how about OCD? I believe you mean OCR, his shadow. Will that work? No, it doesn't do optical character recognition. Whereas, as you showed me, an iPhone app would.
Yeah.
It may not do a great job of it, but it does a job of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Doxie 1 does a better job of OCR than an iPhone does. So I don't think this is an issue. Monty says, if I was going to buy a scanner of some sort, I'd buy one of the Neat scanners before one of these Doxie devices. Monty, I've reviewed and talked with the Neat ones. The Neat one software is not as good as the Doxie software, if that makes any difference to you. The Doxie 1 software, none of them are as good as the old Epson stuff from the 90s, but the Doxie software is definitely better than the Neat software. I'll give you that. The other part about all this is something you and I talked about today. I sent you, there were 6 reviews I found on websites. TUAW, Engadget, Mac Stories, and they all raved about this.
They were all excited about this scanner. And also, if I have to talk about the quality of the images, it's not that they are that excellent. The color is not strong enough, and for every picture I had to adjust the details. So,
whereas the folks that we saw with the reviews didn't mention that, or if they did, they said that the color reproduction was very good.
Yeah, but
excellent, according to
it was not.
Some websites. The worst one, not from a review point of view, but from the point of view of suspicion, was Mac Stories. And Vitici is going to get mad at me because he always does whenever I say this kind of stuff. He says in the beginning of his review of the Doxie flip, Doxie paid us advertising dollars in the week before I did this review. Then he should have done the review, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
I'm not saying
clean one.
there's anything dishonest about your review, but it's the perception.
Yeah.
If nothing else, you should have either said no, we won't accept money ahead of the review, or waited a month after the review to run the advertising.
Yeah.
Running the review at the same time as you run the advertising just looks suspicious. Suspicious. It's the perception of rather than the actual part of it. You've got to be above reproach nowadays, or at least you should be.
Yeah.
And that just gives too much of an angle to it. So many of these reviews felt like they were being written by someone who wanted the next product from Doxie.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't want to say anything. They didn't want to say anything negative about this product. They wanted to get the next one.
Yeah.
I can't work that way, and that's something you said this morning. I don't want to be mean about it. And I said, if that's what you believe, then that's what you've got to say. Because we're not doing this review for Doxie.
Yeah.
We're doing this review for the folks who are listening to the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're trying to give them the best information that we have, that our perception of it is.
Yeah.
I found it very, very interesting that all the reviews were so uniformly positive.
Yeah, they were all so excited.
One of them said cons 0.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect device? Not by a long shot.
No.
I mean, it's cheap plastic. It's going to break in a backpack if you're not careful with it. If nothing else, there's a con right there.
Yeah, and if you want the bag that is protecting it to transport it, it's an extra charge.
Really?
Yeah, it's not included. And I like it because there is a secret pocket, so you can put secret stuff in here, and you can also put your scanner inside. Yeah. But you have to pay it and buy it separately, so it's not the scanner is cheap. So.
It's just, and by the way, I'm not holding ourselves to a higher standard than anybody else. I'm not saying that because we don't take money from a parent software, the parent company of Doxie, that our review is any better. I'm just saying that this is not a perfect device. And when I read 5 reviews that all say, this thing is great, I get suspicious.
Yeah.
Because I've got one, and I know for a fact there's all kinds of things wrong with it. Yes, it is. It could be useful, but I think the use case of it is very, very narrow. It's only for those folks who need much higher quality than your iPhone. If you just want to take a picture of it, the perfect example of it, someone mentioned, I thought it was a good one, that if you want to take a picture of something that you wanted to then print out again later. So say you've got pictures of old family photo album. You would scan them at 600 dpi, and then they would be printable later at 4x6. That wouldn't be the case of an iPhone one. So in that case, okay, I get it. But even in that case, you can get a full flatbed scanner.
Oh, yeah.
For less money than this thing.
Yeah.
And do the exact same thing. Now, it's going to be a bit of a pain to carry to Grandma's house for the scanning, but take the pictures from Grandma's house to your house.
Yeah, that's faster. And so you don't need to bring it with you.
Bottom line, what's the price of this thing?
It's $149.
They sent this to us free of charge. It doesn't have to go back unless they actually want it to go back. Would you spend your own money to buy this?
I wouldn't. I think it's too expensive.
What would you? Okay, so if you wouldn't use your own money, Is there something else that you would recommend the audience who wanted to accomplish taking scans or getting scans of things remotely?
Well, there are apps that can help scan, and that's what I was using before this scanner. Yeah. They are not that accurate because it's just the phone is a small camera, but for me it was enough. I was even scanning documents that I have had to send by email as attachments, and it was good enough. On the other side, they were never complaining that they couldn't see well. So for me, I had enough. This one I enjoyed using it because I had it, but I wouldn't spend all that money to buy it.
Okay, fair enough. So, folks, you can do a search on the web for the other reviews. Please read the other reviews. Let us know what you think. Email onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Last week, you asked me a question that was kind of interesting. Again, this is an example of Alessandra not being in tune with technology the way I and a lot of you guys are. You said, what's Dropbox?
Yeah.
And my first thought was, how the hell could you know about Dropbox? Everyone knows about Dropbox, but no, not everyone.
Yeah, you were
Dropbox.
Thinking I was joking, but I never joke when I talk about technology. So, yeah, I didn't know what it was, and then I started using it, and now I like it.
The basic way of describing Dropbox, and I described it to Alessandra, was it's just a way to put data someplace else rather than being on your hard drive. The old line, we've used it 1,000 times. There are two kinds of people: those who have had hard drives. There are two kinds of people: those who have had hard drive crashes and those who will have hard drive crashes.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing in between. Hard drives are physical objects, and therefore they're going to die at some point.
Yeah.
And the only question is, will they die and you be prepared for it, or will they die and you be unprepared for it? And Dropbox is one way to be prepared for it by saving certain documents, not everything, but saving certain documents on the cloud, basically on Dropbox's servers. It's not really a cloud. It's not really a cloud. It's basically servers that aren't in your home, that aren't your computer, just somewhere else on the interwebs. And they're neat services. They're free. Be careful. All free services have you as an advertiser, or you as the product. So keep that in mind. But I think the basic service for Dropbox is 5 gigs for free. Go get it. Matter of fact, do me a favor and use our link on the Your Mac Life website, because if you use our link, I get an extra 500 megabytes free.
Yeah.
But the website is Dropbox.com if you want to just go and sign up for it on your own. So, 2 gigabytes free. There we go. Shawn, Dropbox had a promotion a while back to increase your space if you uploaded your images. Let me just make sure I've got the right URL here. LIVE macro you're like of. That's not going to work. That URL isn't going to go anywhere. Hang on. It did. Dropbox. I highlight this and I copy this link and I put this link in there. See chat room. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. So Dropbox allows you to put documents, data. They can be anything. They can be Word documents, they can be PowerPoint documents, they can be PDFs, they can be JPEGs, movie files, whatever you want. But the cool part about Dropbox is that it isn't just a storage area, it's a transfer area too. It allows you to put that document on the Dropbox servers and then tell your friend, your coworker, your brother, as Alessandra did for a brother in Italy, hey, go to this URL and grab this document, this JPEG, this PDF. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's very nice. You can just go on the picture you want to share, right-click, and there is an option to share the link, and then you can just send the link to your picture, and your brother can see the picture instead of attaching the picture to an email like I used to do, because I don't use Facebook for pictures. So it's a fast way, and I like it.
And it was easy. Your brother didn't have to install Dropbox,
No.
You don't have to.
No, because it's a link. Yeah. You just go on a browser.
Yeah. So, and your brother wouldn't even know that he was using Dropbox unless he looked at the URL.
No.
So it's a real nice way of holding data, a limited amount of data. Now, 5 gigs, 2 gigs, whatever it is. It sounds like a lot, but nowadays we've all got multi-gigabyte hard drives. You're not going to use Dropbox to back up your hard drive because A, it's too slow, and B, it's just not big enough. But it is a place to back up certain documents. For example, my 1Password passwords were on my old MacBook Pro. I get a new MacBook Pro, and the first thing I do with any new computer is I install TextExpander and I install 1Password. TextExpander because I love it, it's useful. 1Password because I need it. The problem with 1Password, I've said this many times, is that once you start using 1Password, you're locked into 1Password because it allows you to make passwords that are so hard to crack, you can't remember them.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sitting here after I get my MacBook Pro and I want to go to my CIBC bank account web page, and it says username, password. I don't know. I have no clue what the password is to my CIBC bank. I'm like, oh crap! So I had to go to the old MacBook and log on from there. But what 1Password does, and what TextExpander does, is they put their password files on Dropbox. So all I have to do was download the software onto the new machine, and the machine says, where are your passwords? I click Dropbox. They go, okay, we'll go get them. Off they go. Yeah. They go get the password. They go get the TextExpander snippets. They bring them back to my computer. Boom, I'm done. It's great. There's all kinds of uses for Dropbox. I see folks in the IRC chat room saying that, where was it? I thought someone boxes of paper. My freelance work, someone's talking about the upload stuff for customers, all kinds of ways of using Dropbox. So if you haven't used it, again, it's free, Dropbox.com. You can use the URL on the yourmaclifeshow.com website. Click on the links there. Check that out. Is there anything else you need to talk about when it comes to Dropbox? Anything else you liked about Dropbox?
This is the way I've been using it so far, and also I noticed there was the option for that little scanner we talked about to export the image to Dropbox directly. So that was easy to use, and I tried to do that. And
it makes it real easy, especially for people who aren't technological.
It's easy to use, very, very easy.
For one of the things I tell folks that they can do is you can go to like your parents' house, set up Dropbox in their computer. Dropbox sets up a little folder on their hard drive, and all you do is say, "Mom, Dad, when you've got something you want me to see, put it in this Dropbox folder."
Just move it there. You drag it there, and it's so easy. Yeah.
And Mom and Dad don't have to worry about it, because what happens next is when you've got it set up, Dropbox automatically syncs that to the Dropbox folder and can send you an email that says, "Hey, so and so, your mom just uploaded something else to your Dropbox folder."
So you go and see it.
Real simple that way. So
it's very nice.
Definitely recommend that to anybody who needs and wants to transfer data back and forth. It's good for school kids who are working on projects together. You can create PDFs and send it off to another kid in another school, or some other kid in your own school and say, "Hey, check this out." It works in all kinds of different ways. I really like Dropbox.
Yes, me too.
I think that's it. Oh, I'm going to give something away? I want to say thanks to those folks who are friends of Your Mac Life. It's the first Wednesday of November, so we want to make sure that you guys know that you can always go to the website at yourmaclifeshow.com. Right there at the top of the page, there's a Friends of YML contest entry form. You fill that entry form out. It sends me an email. I drop your name into our virtual hat, and randomly we will draw for prizes from any number of cool companies. We also, if you're a subscriber to Your Mac Life, don't do that. If you subscribe to Your Mac Life for $2, $5, $10, $15, whatever amount of money you want to subscribe to Your Mac Life with each month, comes out of your major credit card, I put your name in the virtual hat on your behalf, and for every $2 above the original $2, I put an extra an extra entry into the virtual hat. So you get, for $4, you get 2 entries. For $5, you get 2 entries. For $10, you get 5 entries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you get extra entries every month if you're a subscriber to Your Mac Life, so you increase your chances of winning. But you don't have to pay to win. It ain't a lottery. It's free. But I'd appreciate it because Christmas is coming, and I got stuff to buy. I got a 12-year-old to buy stuff for now. a 12-year-old girl to buy stuff for me. The hell do I buy a 12-year-old girl?
Yes.
Especially a 12-year-old girl. Especially a 12-year-old girl who's not a girly girl. She's a nerd.
Yeah.
Makes it even harder.
Yeah.
You know, before I would just assume you'd just buy something from the little My Little Pony catalog and you'd be done. You'd buy her a Barbie and you were good.
Oh no.
No.
You will make her so mad. And nothing pink, please.
Not only that, but nothing that's for children.
Yeah.
Or for kids.
Yeah.
She gets all
she's grown up now.
Where were we that she got pissed? They handed her the kids menu. She got just IHOP.
Yeah, yeah.
She was mad.
Oh
We gave her an IHOP kids menu. Oh, God. I heard about this phenomenon of parents having to deal with kids who didn't want to be kids anymore, but were still kids, but they're experimenting, they're trying to become adults.
Yeah, it's a transition period.
But it's so funny to see the times where she wants to be an adult and the times where she wants to be a little girl.
Yeah, yeah, she's still both.
It's just, oh, God.
Yeah.
It's freaking me out, man! So, let me get the folder for the virtual hacks. Let me just hang on a second. Get this and this. Alrighty. Okay, I'm going to scroll through this list and you tell me when to stop. Oh, hang on. We're going to give away an Incipio iPad case for the nice folks at Incipio.com. INCIPIO.com. They got all kinds of great cases for the iPad, for the iPhone. You got to choose. You got to choose which kind of case you would like to get from Incipio.com. So this is me scrolling. Go ahead, say stop.
Stop.
Sorry, I wasn't ready for it. So scrolling, stop. Goes to Alex Wiley. Congratulations to Mr. Alex Wiley. Thanks very much for joining us, for being a subscriber to Your Mac Life. You've won an Incipio case for your iPhone or your iPad. Go to the website at incipio.com and choose the one you would like for whichever iPad or iPhone you'd like, and let us know. Send me an email with your address and which case you would like for which device, and I'll send it off to the nice folks at Incipio. On next week's show, we're going to have a review of this little beautiful thing. Look at how skinny that is. Little teeny tiny itty bitty little just. So those folks listening to the audio going, what the hell is he talking about? It is the iPad Air. I lined up for the first time in 3 years to get a Apple product. Went down to the Guildford Mall here in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. The Guildford Mall Apple Store staff, fantastic. Crap, what do I do with the business cards? They're all on the floor down there. But anyway, met the manager and a bunch of other folks. I'll mention their names next week. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to the audio of my bad news, good news, really bad news, good news, bad news video, it's up on the website, yourmaclifeshow.com. We got some very funny, I got to read these before we go, because we got some very funny comments from folks who watched that or read that. The last podcast, Phil Paxman says, just wanted to shoot you a message thanking you for your last podcast. I listened to it at work tonight, laughed the whole time, good stuff. Also to Michael Evans, who says, I've listened to Your Mac Life for many, many years. I've heard you with a variety of co-hosts. Now, because of the length of time I've listened to you, I feel I have a mild understanding of what will constitute really bad news for you. In the future, please don't post a special YML episode on a non-show day with a description that includes bad news 3 times, with one of them getting in all caps, really prefix. At the very least, you could add a parenthetical, nobody died. I swear I held my breath through most of the show until you revealed the really bad news. I agree it's unfortunate, but with your history of motorcycle accidents, relocating the show, and other unpleasantries, the imagination of the average YMO listener goes to some pretty dreadful places trying to predict what catastrophe you consider bad news. I'm glad that you're okay and you were successfully reunited. On the bright side of my momentary panic in going to the YML site to get your email address, that always cracks me up. People have to go to the YML website to get the address. I have said my many addresses 8 million times over the 18 years I've done this show. Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. On air at yourmaclifeshow.com. Hell, write the contest at yourmaclifeshow.com if you like. Failing all that, Shawn at yml.me. They all work. He says, going to the YML website to get your email address. I finally saw the CIG. Yeah, If she's hanging out with you, you're going to need some pretty apocalyptic, something pretty Try again. Yeah, if she's hanging out with you, you're going to need something pretty apocalyptic to convince me you've got bad news in the future. Take care, Mike Evans. Mike, thank you very much for the email. Sorry for scaring you about that, but that was my intention, actually. Because I'm a dick that way. Sorry. If it makes you feel better, Mike, I did the same thing to Alessandra. I came home.
Yeah. You didn't tell me anything. You just started your broadcast.
No. You came home, and what did you ask?
Well, I asked, where is your new iPad? No. And you said, why are you interested in it now? You didn't want to know about it earlier, and you didn't show me anything. So I was worried and started thinking you lost it or something happened, because I knew you had it earlier in the morning because you texted me about it, and then you started your show, and so I didn't know what was happening. Yeah.
And I actually made you sit and watch.
Yeah. And so I had to wait for the news, and I couldn't know anything before. And then when you said that you forgot it on a bench, because I was not seeing it, I thought you really forgot it there for good. So I was leaving all your story.
Yeah, I was a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, on that note, I want to say thank you guys very much for joining us here. And thanks for those folks who hung out in the Google Hangouts and also who are watching it via YouTube. And also to all you folks who listen in via the archive. As always, emails anytime during the week to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Let me see if I can't wrap this thing up in some sort of semi-elegant way. So like I said, on next week's show, we're going to be talking about the new iPad Air, and we might, depending on how it goes, have some more. The folks at Oloclip, and we'll be giving some of these away. Folks at Oloclip have a new version of the Oloclip lenses, and we'll be talking about that on next week's show. So until next week, as always, I've been Shawn King.
And this was Alessandra.
And you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!
Ciao!